Good evening all and welcome to another video on All Hail the Ale. Tonight we're going for another supermarket beer, and this one, if you've been following Facebook in any way, shape or form and some of the craft beer pages, you'll see it's very much either loved or hated. I don't know which camp I'm going to fall in yet because I've not tried it before, and I'm not really sure what to expect because some people have said it's absolutely delicious and some people have said it's really not nice. You've had people say that from the unpleasant camp that it's been really sour and you shouldn't expect that in a beer of this type. And then you've had people say it's beautifully tropical and just exactly what it says on the tin. Which one is it? Well, you've clicked on the video, so you should know. But it's this one, the Juicy Fruit Pale Ale from Hopstuff North Brewing. Purchased in Tesco's for a mighty sum of £2.50. So if it's not nice, I've not lost anything, and if it is really nice, then you've got a Billy Bargain on your hands. It's a 440ml can and it weighs in at 4.5%, and as we already found out, it's a collaboration brew between two breweries. And let's see what it says. Well, not a lot. It says, here we present our first collaboration with North Brewing Co. Juicy Fruit Pale Ale, and you've guessed it, it's a juicy fruity beer. And the ingredients list is pretty basic, as most good beers should be. It's water, barley, wheat, oats, hops, guava puree, passion fruit puree, and yeast. So it has the potential to be really tropical and, of course, juicy. I mean, that's the can. It's not anything really clever. It's a real simple can with a little bit of information on the back, as we've just discussed. There we have it. Now, it is a plastic coated can. Not that that makes much difference to some, but it would be nice to see maybe a little bit less plastic used, particularly these kind of coatings on cans that aren't exactly recyclable. But I get it, I do. But it'd be nice to see perhaps a paper label that could be stripped off and recycled and all that jazz. Anyway, we're here to talk about the beer, maybe get a little bit political about the packaging. But anyway, let's see what it's like, because that's what we're here for, to find out, isn't it? So the pour is pale here. It's quite lively. We have a pretty decent head on it already. More to do with the pourer than the pour itself, I would imagine. Yeah, it's not a great pour from me today. That's the beer. So we've got a huge head on it. It's quite carbonated. Smells yeasty. It really does. It's quite a strong yeast. There's an element of hop. I'm not getting much of the fruit to the nose though. And if we can get through the head, I'll tell you what it tastes like. Okay. I get what people mean when they say there is a sour edge, because there is. Which is fine if you're expecting a sour. If you're expecting a juicy pale ale, on the other hand, it's not so good. However, it's very light. There's no real body to it. And how can I be constructive and honest at the same time? Well, if we take the beer at face value, Juicy Fruit Pale Ale, then I've got to be brutally honest, I'm disappointed because it doesn't bear much resemblance to a regular pale ale at all. There's none of that real hoppy, malty goodness that you would get from a good pale. There's no body. There's not a lot to go on. But if we take it for what it tastes more like, and that is a sour, then let's be honest, it's a bit better because it fits a very light sour more than it does a pale ale. And I think they've really missed a trick here by marketing it as a juicy pale ale. If they marketed it as a light sour, then I think they'd be onto a bit of a winner. You know, it could be like the gateway. It's got more in common with a saison than it has a pale. It's got more in common with a sour than it has a pale. Indeed, if this had appeared in the Rainbow Project box this year, I would not have batted an eyelid because it fits the kind of beer that you've seen en masse in there. But as a pale ale, not so much. It doesn't qualify, in my eyes anyway, as a good pale ale at all. But taking it outside of that, yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, to draw a comparison, I went on honeymoon, in fact, to Egypt in 2012, and being a Muslim country, they don't eat pork, so what they had was beef bacon. Now, you hear the word bacon in your head and you think, bacon, I love bacon, and you have that expectation of bacon. You know, when that lovely bit of meat hits the back of your tongue, you get the saltiness and you get that true bacon flavour. And then you get the beef. Now, it should never have pretended to be bacon because it was not bacon, but it was nice for what it was. And it's the same goes for this beer. If it didn't market itself as a juicy pale ale, if it marketed itself more of a sour cross-saison type affair, it would be closer to the mark and therefore would probably have a few people saying, do you know what, that's not too bad. But as a pale ale, not so much. So, when it comes to scoring, and this is a tricky one, and because it's going to sound slightly, I don't know, because I've just said treat it as a sour and it's not bad, but I'm going to score it based on what it's marketed to me as on the supermarket shelf, which was Tesco's, like I say, for £2.50. It's marketed as a juicy fruit pale ale, so I'm going to score it as a juicy fruit pale ale. There are elements of juicy fruit that can't be denied, but they don't come through in the typical pale ale palette of flavours. Like I say, it comes through as a slightly more sour edge, and therefore I've got to start with my baseline. Would I buy it again? And the buying it again would give it a 3, at least. Based on it being a pale ale, I wouldn't buy it again. And that's a shame because I don't like finding beers that I dislike. I've always found something to like about most of them. But as a pale ale, I cannot, in all consciousness, score it more than a 3 because I wouldn't want to buy it again. I know it's brutal, and I've yet to find many beers that I feel that way about, but this one I do, unfortunately. Now, I wouldn't score it much less than a 3, and I'm being kind in that sense because I like it as a sour edge. So I'm going to give it a 2.75 because there are qualities about it that I like, but not as a pale ale. Yeah. Treat it more like a sour. If you expect a sour, you'll be okay with this beer. If you expect a pale ale, you will be disappointed, I'm afraid. So I'm in the camp of people who are not a fan of the North Brewing Co. and Hopstuff Juicy Fruit Pale Ale, because it's not a pale ale. Sorry, chaps. It's not often I find a beer I don't like that much, based on face value. So I'm going to drink it because I'm not going to waste it. Like I say, it would be a travesty to pour beer down the sink unless it's Foster's or Carling Black Label or Stella Artois or generally other unpleasant things like Budweiser, Coors. I'm looking at you guys. Don't like your beer. Sorry. Anyway, I'm going to go drink this beer. So, apologies for the slightly negative review. Everyone likes different things, right? And if we all like the same thing, it'd be pretty boring in this here world. So thank you very much for watching. Very much appreciate every single one of your likes, subscriptions and comments, of which I'm hoping to get some below. I'd like to know your experience of this beer, the Juicy Fruit Pale Ale. That's not really a pale ale. Thank you for watching. This has been the Hopstuff North Brewing Co. Juicy Fruit Pale Ale. I've been Nick, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.